It's been a minute since I made a rubber band ball video, and a lot of you have been wondering where it was, and it's been here, in my garage. And I bet you're wondering why it's here. It all started when I had to move it out of my warehouse. So that was a big process, because it's 1,700 pounds and requires heavy machinery and a big trailer to move it. It got on the road and then went into my neighborhood, which is where we unloaded the ball like this and pushed it on into the garage, where it's sat here for a while. And I'm not done with the rubber band ball series, but for now, the rubber band ball's taking a little break. So one day I wanted to attempt to build shoes that would make me walk on water. So I went to Walmart and bought water repellent spray, some foam board, and some duct tape, and then I got to work building these shoes. This board floats pretty well like this. Then I sprayed it completely down with the water repellent, sprayed some on myself, then duct taped the boards to my foot like so, until eventually I had perfect water shoes that would allow me to run on the water. I stepped off the dock to start walking. Yeah, it broke. So one day it was part 2 of making a working cardboard boat with a real motor. We flex sealed and great stuffed the entire cardboard boat, and the next day it looked ready to float. My friends and I loaded it up and took it out to the pond where we would test it out. The motor was spinning, we put it in the water, and I was off after a little push from this oar. The boat was holding up amazingly well, and the engine was pushing me surprisingly really fast. I couldn't believe it. I'd made the first ever cardboard boat with an engine. Then this RC boat zoomed by me and I conned the boat back to shore. So one day I set out to make the world's biggest paper airplane. First I went to Walmart with my minion to gather all the supplies, poster board and Gorilla Tape. I then went home and taped 4 pieces together like this and started folding it into an airplane. And because of the size of the plane, it was a bit flimsy, so I had to reinforce it with extra tape. The plane was now ready for test flight 1, which went pretty smoothly. Look at it go. I then climbed up onto this shed and threw it again, and I hit a tree. But the next flight soared for quite a while. Whoosh. So I decided to go even higher. And remember, don't try this at home. And the plane flew like a perfect giant airplane. So it's rubber band ball part 95, and this ball weighs 1,350 pounds. We had it outside and had to push it all the way inside, which was really hard, and then we dumped out all these bands to place. My friend Brennan did one pile of 25 pounds, and I did the other pile of 25 pounds, and we just looped them all together until we had 2 giant strands of bands that we wrapped completely around the ball like this. Another 50 pounds like that. The ball is now 1,400 pounds. Be sure to give this a like for me to beat the world record. So this is my rubber band ball, and here's the world record. My ball is currently 1,400 pounds and a long way from the record at 9,000 pounds, but we looped all these bands, 50 pounds to be exact, until it was finished, and then we were ready to place them on the ball to get it one step closer to the world record. And just by leaving a like on this video, you can help aid in the journey to beating the world record. Here I am rolling and then falling off the ball like this, and here's the ball in all of its awesomeness. So one day people were commenting saying my over 1,400 pound rubber band ball is boring now because it can barely move. But at the end of the video, this ball will be over 1,500 pounds, and I'm going to prove that we can still move it by knocking down a bunch of bowling pins. We finished looping all 50 pounds of bands and then placed it perfectly on the ball like this. And then it was time to set up these pins. I set them up, tested them out, and then set them up again for the rubber band ball. And the ball can roll with a lot of effort, but it's really hard to get it to go where you want it. We eventually knocked over a bunch of pins and then crushed this pin like this. So comment if I should keep the series alive. So it's part 98 of my over 1,500 pound rubber band ball. I ordered more bands at the price of $230. I recruited some help and then got out at looping all 50 pounds of bands to place on the ball. And this is the longest I've gone in between rubber band ball videos. Rubber bands have been pretty difficult to get lately, but as long as you guys keep liking and supporting these videos, I'll keep on adding more bands to the rubber band ball. We finished adding bands, threw some stuff, and then aired up this hamster ball. People wanted me to try to fit the ball in it, but I couldn't, so I threw it on top. Then I stood on the ball like this and hopped off. Like for me to keep going. So one day people wanted me to fill this giant water balloon up and smash it with my over 1,300 pound rubber band ball. The problem is this ball is super hard to move. We barely got it outside. Stood on it like this, and then we began filling the water balloon up. It's supposed to be about 6 feet, but I'm not sure how big we'll be able to get it. We stopped it at a pretty decent size and then tried to roll the rubber band ball to it. And the huge ball had to go up a slight incline, which made it really hard. We got it on the balloon, but it didn't even pop. It wasn't exactly easy to keep trying, so we just threw this little rubber band ball on it like this, and it wouldn't pop until eventually I just threw it like this, and then bam, all the water went everywhere. So one day I bought a tiny inflatable bouncy house to float down the creek in. It was pretty bouncy and seemed like it would make a pretty good boat. I flipped inside of it like this, and then it was time to test it out. We took it to the creek, walked it all the way down over a bunch of rocks and stuff. I jumped in and I was off. I did it. I was floating down the creek in a miniature bouncy house. I bet my parents are proud. My goal was to make it all the way to the stronger current over here, but I got stuck, so I had to push it out. But after that, I was flying. The bouncy house was moving so fast. Then we approached this fallen tree that I actually made it through. And the bouncy house was a success. Comment what else I should try. Guys, I'm in this insane underground bunker, and check this out.
And then we got a secret bathroom with a toilet, a sink, and a shower. And then when you want, you can just close it back up.
And now I'm chilling in a hidden bunker bathroom. So one day I flew all the way out to California to try In-N-Out for the very first time. There's none of these where I live, and apparently people like them. The aesthetic was very nice. I looked at the menu and decided I wanted a burger, some fries, and a milkshake. I also got a drink, and it had these cool touchless things. Here's my burger and fries. They looked really good. The milkshake was amazing. I then dipped my french fry into my shake, and it was amazing. Now it was time for the burger, and it was pretty good. In-N-Out, I'd say it lived up to the expectation. So one day someone commented saying I should run over the eggs on the purple mattress to see if that would crush them. So now I gotta try it. My brother pulled the truck up and then I did a quick fall test to see how that would do. None of the eggs broke until I let them roll off. But now it was time to see if they could survive the truck. The tire went over the eggs cleanly and we couldn't see anything yet until he pulled off, and yeah. Comment any other ideas. This is my giant 1,600-pound rubber band ball, and as many of you know, it started from, an exploding watermelon. And for over the last 2 years, it's continued on past what I ever thought it would. Weighing over 1,600 pounds, we're on our way to a world record. Well, kinda, we're still like 8,000 pounds away, but the point is, this ball's come a long way, and it's only the beginning. Just kidding, because we're gonna completely destroy it. Yeah, just kidding again. It's indestructible. But the next part is part 100, and we're adding 100 pounds of rubber band. So stay tuned. One day, since it was 105 degrees, I wanted to test if I could cook an egg on my driveway. After making sure no one was watching me, I cracked an egg and then let it sit. The concrete was extremely hot, but I still had no idea if this would even work. I tapped the egg like this, and it felt really cool. Then I waited by the dumpster, started playing with it like this, kind of broke the yolk. Then I got mad at a cloud blocking my sun, but kept on pushing through. Eventually, my phone overheated, though, so I had to put it in the fridge and get my freezer phone out. At this point, the egg had been on the concrete for quite a while, and it was starting to look like this. Bon appetit. So one day, I Googled my net worth, and it turns out I was a multi-millionaire. I was so shocked and happy. I could finally really start to enjoy life with no boundaries. Money was no object for a guy like me. I even went to Starbucks.
Hey there, welcome to Starbucks.
And paid $7 for this pink drink. And I still had $29,399,993. So I had an idea. Buy some friends.
Yo, be my friend.
Okay. I was so excited that I took my new best friend to go buy this Tesla. It was a really nice car and he was so happy. Then I went to check my bank and I realized I wasn't a millionaire. So this is part 2 of getting kicked out for dyeing my parents' pool red. After getting kicked out and turning this storm shelter into my new home, you guys commented saying that I should turn it into a gaming setup. And so today, to make the most out of living in here, that's what I'm gonna do. I came out of the storm cellar and then went to sneak back in to grab a TV and an Xbox. I stole this TV out of the spare bedroom and took it back to the storm shelter, and then I went back to grab this Xbox and Minecraft. And lastly, I just needed power, so I got multiple extension cords and hooked it up until I had my Xbox. I loaded an old world I hadn't played in forever, and I was actually playing Minecraft in the cellar. Let me know what else I should try. So it's part 98 of my over 1,500-pound rubber band ball. I ordered more bands at the price of $230. I recruited some help and then got out at looping all 50 pounds of bands to place on the ball. And this is the longest I've gone in between rubber band ball videos. Rubber bands have been pretty difficult to get lately, but as long as you guys keep liking and supporting these videos, I'll keep on adding more bands to the rubber band ball. We finished adding bands, threw some stuff, and then aired up this hamster ball. People wanted me to try to fit the ball in it, but I couldn't, so I threw it on top. Then I stood on the ball like this and hopped off. Like for me to keep going. So one day, to find out if there was really still watermelon trapped inside my giant rubber band ball, I made another rubber band ball with a watermelon. My goal was to cut it open after adding a bunch of bands to it and making it perfectly round, and then find out if there was watermelon inside. I made it into a ball like this, tested how bouncy it was, threw it in a pool, and apparently rubber band balls sink. So we got it out and then tried to cut it open with this, a sword, this saw, then these big lawn scissors, but nothing was working until I got this box knife. Don't try this at home, but eventually we got it all the way unraveled. And after making it completely to the center, I only saw tiny crumbs of watermelon. It's officially part 99 of my giant rubber band ball, and this is 50 more pounds of rubber bands that we're about to add on to the ball. We start by looping all the bands together like this, which is the longest part. We sit there for what feels like an eternity, just looping band after band after band until the pile is completely empty. We're almost to rubber band ball part 100, which is crazy, and for part 100 we're going to be placing 100 pounds on the rubber band ball. And we finished up these two 25-pound strands like this until the ball was finished. Weighing literally 1,600 pounds, it almost took out my tripod. So one day I wanted to recreate how I made my giant rubber band ball by putting a bunch of rubber bands around a bunch of random stuff. I got a basketball, glue, a piñata, and another watermelon. I started trying to bust the piñata with bands, but it failed. So I moved on to the big bottle of glue, just wrapping tons of bands around the glue until it would explode. Yeah, it looked pretty crazy. Then I moved on to the basketball, which began to get deformed. So I decided to throw it in the cul-de-sac to see if it would explode. And after multiple throws, nothing. And we still had one final thing in attempts of making another tiny rubber band ball. After a while, the bottom of the watermelon began to crack until eventually it just exploded. It exploded perfectly onto the chair, leaving behind this tiny little rubber band ball. Let me know what I should do with it. So one day, people commented on my last TikTok telling me to go dumpster diving and take whatever I find to the pawn shop. And I wasn't really finding anything, went to this bookstore, didn't find any books. Then I went to this dumpster, hopped in, and started digging around until eventually, after hours of dumpster diving, I found a Star Wars Pez dispenser that I took to the pawn shop. I walked in the store and he said,
"What in the world is that?"
"I've had this for a very long time. One of a kind Star Wars Pez dispenser."
Wow, that is pretty cool. No candy in it. Do you eat all the candy? It's worthless.
You just gotta buy the candy. I mean, it's a collectible. And then he asked me how much.
What do you think it might be worth?
$30.
How long have you had it?
Like, years.
Was it like this one?
Then he started comparing it to ones on eBay.
Pez dispenser. You sure you didn't buy this on eBay for 99 cents?
That one looks different. I then did my best to convince him the true value of it.
I'd probably give you 50 cents because I think it's kind of cool.
And I knew I had to do it. He gave me the 50 cents and I used half of it for these Skittles. I was a winner after all.
I got my money back.
It's Rubber Band Ball Part 100. It's crazy to think 2 years ago this ball started from a watermelon and now it's literally almost 1,700 pounds. And for Part 100 I ordered a very pricey 100 pounds of rubber bands. This is the most amount of bands we've ever placed in one sitting, so I'm not looking forward to it. And if you've never seen one of these, we literally just loop all the bands because they're too small to wrap around the ball. We loop them into strands like this, and after a very long time, 3 hours to be exact, the pile disappeared, leaving us with these long strands that we then just wrap around the ball. And just like that, here's another 100 pounds being added on to the rubber band ball. Even though this ball is massive, we're still a long way from the world record. Give this video a like and I'll keep going. So one day I set out to make a fully functional cardboard boat with a motor attached. I went to Walmart, got a bunch of cardboard, and then I went home and figured out how I was going to be able to support this motor on a cardboard boat. The cardboard's too flimsy and the battery in the motor is really heavy. It will have to attach to the boat somehow like this. So I just got to work building around the motor with a bunch of layers of cardboard. You know, flipping it, taping it, adding even more cardboard, taping all that down and around, adding some more, then some more, until eventually I called it a day, and the next day I had to go get more supplies to make it even sturdier. This boat has to be completely strong enough to hold me, the battery, and the motor, so we have to make it float. We reinforced the bottom with double-sided cardboard like this, then taped that all down and the entire bottom to help waterproof it before we added the Flex Seal and the great stuff. I started by spraying the entire bottom with blue Flex Seal and then some white to make it look frosted, and then I started on the great stuff. My friend Austin then sprayed it to look like a flaming Cheeto, and all we have to do is wait for it to dry and then test it tomorrow. So one day I decided to go metal detecting near the woods and search for treasure. This was the first beep we got. We dug it up, sifted through the dirt, and found this. Yeah, it was just a random piece of metal, so then I headed for the woods to see if I could find something better. And after a little bit longer, we found this piece of metal. But not too long after that, we found this. I started digging and I hit something really hard and also really shiny. I dug around it a bunch more until I could get it out of the ground. We got it out of the ground and it was a locked safe. It was really crazy and still turned on, so I tried to enter the code but failed. So I just threw a rock at it, hoping to bust it open, then threw it in the pool. I wanted to try to drown it open. I had to rescue the safe though, because it went underwater. I got the safe back up on dry land and then attempted busting it open with rubber bands, which eventually worked way better in my head, so I just threw it at a tree, and then another tree. And well, another tree. But the safe still wasn't open, so I resorted to my slingshot, which busted it right open along with everything inside. And inside was the SpongeBob movies.
So one day someone commented saying I should try to crush an old Nokia phone with my 1,200 pound rubber band ball. And I'm going to be doing this and testing the durability of a lot of older phones. And this slightly newer Nokia as well. We did a drop test with these two phones first and threw them like this and dropped a rubber band ball on them. And even rolled a giant rubber band ball on one of them and stuck it inside the rubber band ball as well. But now it was time to test the two Nokias. We did a basic drop test and the older Nokia held up the best. But now it was time to crush it. I could hear the crunch and it rolled onto the Nokia. But it honestly didn't even do that much damage. So I dropped a brick on it like this, and then dropped it on it again, and it was pretty destroyed. Comment what else I should try. One day I decided to run a mile on these moon shoes to prove to the comments that they weren't just a waste of money and see if they actually helped me run the mile faster. And I haven't ran a mile in over a year, so this is going to be pretty hard as is. And I did notice the shoes actually gave me a little bit of bounce as I ran.
I definitely can feel the boing.
Kept on running with my brother behind me until eventually we reached almost half a mile and I was exhausted. And my lack of training was starting to hinder the accuracy of this test because I got even more exhausted and had to take another break. But we were already approaching 7 minutes and my brother left me. Kidding, I caught him. But I kept on going, and then another issue. It broke. I had to pry the bottom piece back on the shoe and keep on running. I was completely exhausted, but I had to push through to try to get a decent time, and we were finished at 15 minutes. Comment any other ideas?
So one day, after someone commented that I should fill my inflatable dome with the packing peanuts too, I decided to do it. I dumped out all the trash bags full of packing peanuts like this, and then dumped the hamster ball out until I had this. A giant dome full of packing peanuts that was also blowing them everywhere. I threw some in the air and then threw some at the blower, and it would just hit them back at me like this. It was kind of cool, but some of them kind of hurt. I tried to see how much I could take. Then I fell backwards, fell forward, and did a flip. And here I am just chilling in the dome. Comment any other things I should try.
So one day someone commented saying I should fill this entire purple mattress grid up with all eggs. I'm only going to put about 60 eggs in there because I don't want to use that much food. I unzipped the mattress like this, and the purple grid is insanely cool. It looks like this and feels really awesome. I then opened up all the eggs and started placing them in. First one, and then a million more. Well, actually like 57 because 2 were broken, but yeah. I filled it as much as possible, and then it was time to fall on it and test them out. And the eggs did pretty good, so I got out my rubber band ball, but I couldn't even push it on, so I did another hop and then started stepping on the eggs like this, and it was crazy. They all just survived. So then I just punched one of the eggs like this and cracked it. Let me know what else I should try.
So one day I let this penny decide if I would spend my $40 at Target if it lands on heads, or the dollar store if it landed on tails. It fell to the ground and landed on tails. The dollar store. The goal was to get the most bang for my buck and get like 40 items, but everything was way more than $1. I got silly string, a punching bag, the star balloon, a phone magnifier, this bubble gun, and the Sour Patch. And now it was time to test out my purchases. The Sour Patch was really good. Then I got out the silly string, sprayed it all over the wall and my brother. Then I tried to spray it all on the ceiling and it fell down. I was like, what? I hit the star balloon, blew up this punching bag, hit it too pretty hard. Then got out the phone magnifier, which actually worked surprisingly well. I could actually see my phone way bigger. And I saved the best for last, this bubble gun. So one day, after seeing all these videos of people blowing bubbles with Jolly Ranchers, I had to try it out for myself. I got a bunch of Jolly Ranchers, put them all on this plate, and stuck it in the microwave for like 40 seconds. I waited until it was done, and they were like sizzling. I used this straw from my water bottle, spun it around, and tried to blow, but I only got this little bubble, so I tried again. I put them back in the microwave for a little bit less time this time, until it looked really good, so I tried again. And it was actually pretty insane. The bubbles just went everywhere. I wanted to keep on trying. I also wanted to taste it, which I did. It was pretty good. I melted some more and did one final blow. So yeah, this actually works and was a lot of fun. So one day, after I made a video with these moon shoes, the company sent me a box, which contained the original moon shoes, a yo-yo ball, and these soccer boppers that I let my brother hit me in the face with. I then opened the moon shoes and was kind of confused. I had to wrap a bunch of rubber bands to it like this. I then stood on it and it was pretty stable. Here's what it all looked like. I then strapped them on my feet and headed out the door, with the help of a cane. And the shoes were a little bouncy, but very hard to run in. Yeah, not much faster. And here's my brother bouncing in slow-mo. And then he fell.
So one day I went to my local gas station to make the weirdest, walkiest looking slush in the world. I had blue, red, Mountain Dew, and a splash of Coke slushy. Then I bought some candy like this and went home. I also decided to add some orange juice and some Sour Head Bang to the mix. I poured the Bang, then the orange juice, splashed the candy in like this, and started mixing. I stirred it for a little bit, but I wanted to get really shook up, so I poured it in this shaker bottle. I then just started vigorously shaking it all over, right here and then here, until it looked like this. I dropped a Minto in and then gave it a taste, and it was pretty weird. I let it sit overnight in the fridge and tasted it again. It was even more potent.
So one day, after 2 years of taking this tiny rubber band ball that grew really big to the pawn shop guy to see what it would give me, and a bunch of other random stuff that most of the time didn't work out, I'm here to surprise the pawn guy with his very own tiny rubber band ball to pawn. This is how he reacted.
What's up, Dylan?
I have a new ball.
It's a nice little round ball.
I'm not trying to sell it or sell anything.
Really? What brings you in then?
Just wanted to give you this ball.
Sweet.
A gift. And a thank you for being in all my videos.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can
Appreciate
put
it.
it on one of these shelves and try to sell it. I then told him I wanted him to try to pawn it and see how much he could get for it.
How much you think you want to get out of it? How about 99.99? Let's find a spot to put
And
it.
he actually had the perfect spot for it. Follow along to see how much it goes for. Full vid, link in bio.
So one day I took my $177 moon shoes. They're supposed to make you jump really high, and I tried to play basketball with them. I wanted to test if they could make me a better basketball player, and here's me jumping off the rubber band ball and falling. So then I took them to a gym, and it didn't start off very good. I kept missing like this, but I decided anyway to challenge the tallest guy in there to a 1v1. I missed my first shot, but so did he, so it's okay. The only real advantage I could feel was the height. I eventually made one with really bad form. Even though the shoes helped me, he was just way more athletic than me, and he was also already 6'8". But hey, look at the shoes can make me do this and this. Whoa.
So one day I decided I was going to beat the world record for blowing the largest bubble out of bubble gum. Here was my first attempt. And my brother's. It was pretty challenging to make my bubble any bigger. They kept on reaching the same size and then popping, so I threw some more gum in my mouth. After that fail, I had this behemoth. That popped. And another pop. Then this one got stuck in my hair. But I hadn't lost hope. I had one more awesome bubble, threw the rest of the gum in my mouth, and then gave up. And sugar crashed. So one day I wanted to get inside this giant inflatable dome and fill it completely up with water. I got inside with my gear, let it air up, and then began filling it up with water. I also taped up the seams so no water would get out, and then I just let it fill. But things started to go sideways. Literally, the dome was going sideways. We eventually got it kind of stable, and it looked like this cool oasis. The dome moved even closer to the woods, but it looked like it was staying stable. So now all I had to do was stay there and let the water fill up. I eventually got bored, started swimming around, goofing off, and then I discovered water was getting out of these holes. I felt defeated, but stay tuned, because if this video gets enough likes, we're gonna try again on the concrete with even more tape. So one day, after trying and failing to completely fill this inflatable dome up with water, I said we would try again and fix everything that went wrong in a part 2 if the video got enough likes. So that's what we're gonna do. This time we'll be working on completely level ground using way more flex tape. My first task inside the dome was making sure everything was completely sealed off and ready for the water. My friend got this super powerful water gun and tried to shoot me. I just continued on doing my normal dome things, and then I saw my dog. I couldn't even pet her, she was so far. But I just stayed in the dome, hour on end, waiting for the water to fill up. I also patched this leak, and my brother got me Sonic because I was hungry. A corn dog never tasted so good. And then I heard the ice cream man. My friends got me ice cream. The guy said,
Subscribe to Dylan Ayres.
I got a bomb pop. I broke it, but it was delicious. Meanwhile, I'd been in there for 3 hours, and the water was actually expanding the dome instead of going up. The sun was coming down, and it was about to rain, so we had to halt the water. So I stopped this leak with my tongue like this, did a cannonball, and tried to ride the waves on this whale. But time was up. I unzipped the dome and tried to ride out on my whale. This happened. So one day someone commented that I should put really long pants on my kangaroo shoes to make it look like I was just super tall. But I couldn't find pants big enough, so I had to figure out how to create my own. I took 2 pairs of really big cheap jeans that I cut up to get around the kangaroo shoes like this, and duct taped it all on. I looked like some kind of weird cyborg, but it didn't look half bad. I tried to stand up with a fail, and then it was eventually up, and I felt pretty tall. I played basketball with the jeans on, and I finally looked like an NBA player. I then just took it outdoors where I looked like some type of farming cyborg. Then I just ran off into the jungle.
So one day, to prove to the people in my comments that these shoes actually work, I took them to the gym to test their agility against my friend Brendan, who is considerably more athletic than me. We both did this bounce thing like this and did it fairly easy. Then I pushed this sled, which was a bit of a struggle, and hopped on this thing, which was also a struggle, but Brendan did it pretty easy. I eventually got the hang of the box jumps like this, but Brendan could still do it better. Then I just randomly had an urge to try a bunch of random things in the gym, like this stair stepper thing that I got going pretty fast on actually, and was still able to do it. Then my friend Austin wanted to try squatting. He did the bar first. We were trying to test if the shoes gave him a boost on the way up, but I think it just made it harder. He also tried to deadlift. Remember, don't try this at home. We are trained professionals. Then I decided to race my friend Brendan, and sadly he won. So overall, I just think the shoes make it lighter on your feet.